Good evening. Welcome to the 7th edition of the IAOA's Collabcast, a podcast for agency owners, by agency owners, and about agency owners. As always, I'm Adam Serwinski, joined by the Adobe wizard of the 7th Order, flat-brain genius himself, Nicholas Ayers.
What's going on, everybody?
He's got a fresh cut today. His ears got lower.
Dude, there's nothing better than going to your local barber. Hopefully I don't offend too many people here right off the bat with this, but going to your local man's barber, and having them just kind of bless the wig a little bit and kind of split the lettuce. And dude, it's like a pampering experience. I'm there for literally an hour and a half, but they do that warm cream on the back. You know what I'm talking about? And then
that's
they
the best.
they do the straight razor edge type stuff. Dude, it is I feel like a man when I walk out of there. I don't know what it is.
Awesome. So, sorry, we got some feedback issues. Now, some of you may have noticed we're using an entirely new program for tonight's podcast, and besides allowing Nick to totally geek out on graphics and his website and all that other stuff Nick loves, we still want you to steer the conversation. So if you want, we want you asking questions, making comments, and in order to do that, you have to join the chat room. So now the chat room is located to the right of the YouTube stream. So you can go there by clicking the YouTube logo that's in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and then the chat will be popping up right next to the right of it. So again, feel free to use it, make comments, be funny, be witty, because frankly, I'm not. And so
anything that's not good, we're just not going to read anyways, so it doesn't really matter, right?
#facts. But tonight, let's get to the real main part of this event. Tonight's session of Collabcast, we are hosting our first four-way podcast, and that's because we have two internet sensations, titans of bobbleheads and vlogs, for lack of a better term, Matt Naimoli and Zack Gould from GNN Insurance in Boston, Massachusetts. And just for background, Matt and Zack are the creators of a fun video blog named Bobble On, where they share their day-to-day hustle, spotlight their referral partners, and give one another a really hard time, literally and figuratively. Tonight, as fun as it could be to go over each episode, we're going to take a deeper dive into find out exactly how they're able to cultivate their strong partnerships and provide the means to make a TV show about their experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, Matt and Zack, are they there? Matt, Zack, oh, there they are.
I was wondering if there was feedback.
What's up, guys?
I put them to sleep.
No, we just figured we needed a dramatic entrance.
You guys are a big deal.
We talked about beforehand we were going to have that theme music for us. Where's the theme music?
You know what? I can break out a little Hulk Hogan, Real American, if you want to. Seriously. No, tonight's the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, and as a kid, it was my thing. So I have my wife recording the 30 for 30 on the Nature Boy. Can you Adam, give me a Nature Boy woo real quick? Can you do it?
Yeah.
Can you do it? Can you do it? Can you go?
We should have talked about it. So Nick, beforehand, Adam said, "Are there any questions I shouldn't ask you?" Well, you were off. But any questions we should have said Ric Flair questions. No questions about Ric Flair.
Off the board. I agree.
Yeah. But by the way, Nick, hair looks stunning. Awesome job. Well done.
No, thank you. No, I put a lot of work into it.
Sorry, he meant to say lettuce. Our apologies.
Yeah, lettuce. Lettuce looks great. Yeah. Later on, we'll talk about that. Whatever you're talking about, the cream on the back of the neck. We'd love to hear more about that.
Always putting cream on the back of the neck. We love it. It's the best. All right, so really,
honestly, thank you, both of you. Thank you for having us. We're so pumped and humbled to be here. Pumped to kind of share our experience, and hopefully some people get something out of it. But we feel a lot of sense of fulfillment when we share our story, and we think that the industry, especially this one, needs a ton of support from a lot of people, not just us. We don't know a lot, but the things that we do know, we're happy to share.
Well, man, I see you guys. I see you guys everywhere now. I'll be honest. 3 months ago, I didn't have a single clue who you guys were. But now, I see every day. I see something about you guys, and it's really a cool thing. So you guys have done a great job getting your name out there, building your brand, personally and professionally. And seriously, I can't go anywhere on social media without seeing you guys or hearing about you guys. So, kudos to you guys and what you've done in what seems to me like a really short period of time,
Yeah.
And now, let's be honest. Let's wait to the end so we start talking about fulfillment. All right. So let's just hold off and tell us to give us the lowdown on really what is going on with GNN. Tell me what you guys have been doing up there in Boston, how you guys came about, where you started. go.
Yeah, so it's funny, Nick. You mentioned, sort of the last 3 to 4 months. It really feels like, there's been a lot of traction, and it's funny. I think the first 7 years was building a lot of foundational work. Went into building the company, getting the company and the brand locally where it really needed to be. In our market, especially in the real estate market, our brand is very strong in Massachusetts. But outside, we've never even tried to expand and kind of get exposure elsewhere. But because of all that effort and the advent of the social media tools we now have access to, we're able to amplify that brand and kind of spread it really quickly. So it's unlike any time before. This is a very unique time period in our ability to kind of share our brand.
Yeah, I think, to your point, there's a really good video out there by Gary Vaynerchuk, and he does this thing called an overnight success. And he shows like 1,000 videos he did before anybody even knew his name. Like all these videos got like 1 view, 5 views, 50 views, whatever. And he just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And he's saying, like, if you call me an overnight success, you can, take this and shove it. And what Matt and I thought about for a long time is, man, we spent like 4 or 5 years really putting in a ton of work and not being at all on social media, really trying to talk about what we're doing. And we were really proud of what we were building, but we were a sales company, and that's really what we were known for. Good sales, borderline great sales. But now in the last like 2.5, 3 years after hiring a business consultant, really kind of focusing on our leadership team, really rounding out our core values, making processes, which we'll go over this entire time, we started to say to ourselves, you know what, let's be a little bit vocal about what we're doing, because what we're doing is fun, what we're doing is different. And we want to highlight our team, highlight our partners, highlight our wins, highlight our trials, what we're doing. And it's getting a lot of traction because we're just having fun. That's it.
Yeah, going back to sort of our background, we were both circus performers no, I'm kidding. We both worked at Liberty Mutual for the first 3 years out of college, 06 to 09. And
it's kind of a circus then.
Kind of a circus, yeah. We Zach was the top agent in the country. I was number 2. Then we swapped, and I was 1, he was 2. We fighting back and forth, but we found out we were in each other's backyard. He was in Boston, I was in Framingham, about 30 minutes west. Became friends, and then realized that we had the same long-term vision, that the industry had an opportunity that we wanted to capture. Both wanted to be entrepreneurs, and we thought that obviously the biggest advantage this industry channel has is the opportunity to offer a lot of choice and making sure that our clients are paired with the best products and prices. And that was one thing we couldn't do at a captive company. So we decided to join forces January 2010. We started, and we started with looking back, we had a lot of hunger and a lot of confidence, good sales ability, and some decent relationships, but we had zero process. We were horrible fact finders. We had we were very poor when it came to the back end and crossing our T's, dotting our I's, planning ahead. We just kind of put our head down, networked, drove leads in, and converted them into sales. And we really learned. It was like school of hard knocks. We learned as we went, and we kind of continued to get better and better.
And to give you a real world example of what Matt's talking about, which a lot of insurance agents here will appreciate, we had to Google the word accord because we didn't understand what that meant.
Zach still spells it with 2 C's and thinks it's like a Honda.
Yeah, so we had an agency management system that had these phantom accords in them, but we still went on Google and printed them off and filled them out. That's how little we knew about the agency world. But what we always talk about is we could drive leads and we could make sales. And that took care of the lack of knowledge of the system aspect of what we were doing, which we find a lot of people spend so much time worrying about a system that they don't spend time worrying about the brand and about the sales and about driving business. And then they have this great system and they spent years building it, but they really didn't spend any time biz deving. And we just did it the other way around.
And if you think about any industry, any business in the industry, that's the lifeline, right? That's the blood of the company. If you have the best people, best process, most amazing value proposition, but if you never get opportunities, you never get the ears and eyes of potential customers, you just can't grow. And so I think we'll talk a lot about that tonight, and that's kind of where we feel we have a lot of areas to improve, continue to improve, but one area we feel like we are really hitting it out of the park is creating opportunities, warm referrals that convert at a very high closing ratio because of the style of our networking and our value adds and propositions to our partners.
Well,
so let's talk about
talk about that a little bit. I think me and Adam both got really what does that mean?
What does that mean?
I mean, take us through how you're building that.
Yeah, so I mean, when we started, I think it'll help to kind of relate to individuals who might be not just have a few relationships here and there, but looking to try to create more referral relationships. Kind of relate to when we first started. When we first started, we really, I mean, at Liberty, we got a lot of leads by creating relationships with employer groups and having that affinity partnership, and then we got a lot of leads in that way. So when we started on our own, we couldn't do that. We started off with just a few referral relationships. You know, there were a couple of car dealers, there was a loan officer, there was a couple of realtors to throw revenue on the books. It wasn't until about a year and a half, maybe 2 years in, when we realized that the moment in the client life cycle, a moment in someone's life that we really wanted to be introduced to property. When individuals are purchasing property, if there's a time limit, there's a timeline on the actual purchasing of that product. They desperately need what we have to offer, not only the client, but then the referral partner. Closing ratio is super high. The retention super high. The policies per client is high. The loss ratio is low. There's a lot of other people in that process that are doing underwriting for us, whether it be inspecting the property, whether it be evaluating the borrower's credit. There's a lot of other people helping us. And so that was when we decided, like, that's really where we wanted to focus. And once we realized that, and all in on that one item. And I think Zach can jump on sort of how we went from 1 to 2 referral partners in that space and kind of webbed it out. But key was realizing where we wanted to be the best in the world at, and forgetting and punting all our opportunities, even when they were very shiny and came across the screen.
And so that's the hard part, like Matt said, like figuring out the niche and trying it out. But to Matt's point, when we figured out that was our value add, we weren't 100%. We weren't all in. We didn't know we could make an impact on our clients' lives. And then the next part was really figuring out, can we add value to the referral partner to achieve scale? Because if you can't add value to the referral partners, you can get Jimmy Smith mortgage lender, but then you got to like hunt for refis and only give them to Jimmy Smith. And that's maybe your value add. You know, because that in my mind is a non-scalable model. You can't just go out and get tons of refis and give them to Jimmy Smith. You have to figure out a value add to your market. And so you can talk about process, you can talk about speed, you can talk about convenience, you can talk about options, differentiating factors. Because anybody can say they're the fastest, anybody can get a binder done quickly, anybody can get more markets. Like, there has to be something else you're doing. In the last 3 or 4 years, really interviewing our referral partners, trying to figure out what they value. Why do they refer us? And that's a really humbling step. Like going to someone who sends you business and being like, hey, I'm just kind of curious. What do you think of me? Like, what's going on? Like, why do you refer so much business to me? What are your clients saying? Interviewing clients. Why do you like it? And what we really found out is that there's a really strong relationship and bond, and we're really like part of their internal process. Insurance in-house. That's one of the many things. There's a lot of other things we do, like trying to introduce realtors to lenders, lenders to realtors, closing attorneys to all of them. You know, we really try to cross-mingle and network and kind of get people involved. We're very active on social media. We cross-pollinate with video. We do testimonials all over the place. But it all started with understanding that we are vital to their process. And then we started to chip at more.
So
yeah, and actually to go back.
Matt, if you would mind, let's talk about the way you go about that. So how do you go about identifying partners you want to work with, and then kind of get in that initial meeting and take us through that first meeting, first how you identify them, and then what you do for them as the initial kind of salvo to get them involved in what you're doing.
Yeah, perfect. I was actually going right back to that. So you pointed us in the right direction. Thanks, Adam.
Great.
So
it's a judo kick in the face.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Matt, but we're gonna have to. No, so yeah, you bring up a good point. So taking it back to sort of when we first had a few relationships and we wanted to try to spawn off of that, you know, we might go. So case in point, if we wanted to capture leads and opportunities when people are buying real estate, that's us. That's our niche. That's our bullseye. For everyone else out there, there might be a different bullseye that works for you, that what you want. But for us, when people are buying property, that's when we want to be introduced. So naturally, real estate agents, attorneys, and loan officers are those influencers in the borrowers, buyers' lives at that moment. So we went to the few that we knew, and At that time, we just sold ourselves and sold our reputation, our speed and all that stuff. But at the end of the meeting, we kind of created some agreements. We knew that they would give us a shot. We knew that we'd knock it out of the park when they did because we were going to handle the sale. There was no one else to do it. Asked them for introductions to the best partners that they had. So if we talked to a loan officer, we'd say, all right, by the end, hey, love some introductions to the best real estate agents that you work with and the best attorney. And then we'd go and meet with them because they're going to take that meeting because they're trusted partners. At the end of those meetings, we literally said, hey, you use Jim Smith, mortgage guy, and he introduced us, really value him, but not for every single loan because their niche is this. Who else do you know that you can introduce us to? And we just webbed it out from there. So from a strategy standpoint, guerrilla marketing, guerrilla networking, that really worked to kind of gain a lot of traction with a lot of different people. But then the next layer is the effectiveness of the meeting. And I think that was one thing you were talking about, Adam. And we weren't great at the beginning. I think there's a few different versions out there. Some people who never actually get the meetings. There's a lot of salespeople and business development people who never actually get the appointment with the potential referral partner. Then is the group that actually gets that appointment and doesn't ask the right questions and they're not as effective because it's just kind of connecting for connecting's sake and kind of, hey, who are you? This is who I am, yada, yada. Effectiveness is really finding the value that in their eyes and then making sure that we're coming through. So the first year to 2 years, we would come in hot. We would come in kind of like we are right now. We'd come in hot and we'd say, hey, this is all we can do for you. We're super fast. We're blah, 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 blah. Here's a PDF of our process. Show you some credibility and then
vomit.
Yeah, just throw up on them. And it worked sometimes, but we never left the meeting with agreements. We never left the meeting knowing if it really resonated with them. And probably only 20% of the meetings we had translated into an opportunity for business. As we went and as we figured it out as we went along, we understood that value to you, Adam, might be completely different than you, Nick, if you're both in the same industry. Adam, you might care about introductions to realtors if you're a loan officer. And Nick, if you're a loan officer, you might care about collaborating on co-marketing. And the third loan officer might care about sponsoring his once-a-year event. And the fourth loan officer might care about none of that, but just take care of my client and make sure that I look like a rock star in the insurance fees. And the fifth one might just care about the speed of a binder and make sure I get binders before commitment date.
Go for 6.
And the sixth one,
That was good.
the sixth one just wants a back rub.
Yeah.
I want the back rub.
You know what I mean, though? I mean, and we don't know. We didn't know unless we asked. And when we started asking and just shutting up and listening, unlike we are right now, they gave us a lot of information that was super valuable. And then we could position our agreements at the end of the meeting to make sure that we're going to give them what they care about. And if we come through with that, they're going to agree to refer us. And as a result, the traction of referrals post-meeting skyrocketed.
So I have a question for you. This is coming from our chat from Sean Mooney, who's probably our most loyal Collabcast listener. He's been on every episode from start to finish. He wants to know this. He says, it's a tightrope working with so many realtors in the same industry. How do you give attention to one realtor without taking away the attention from another referral partner?
Yeah, I think, Sean, how you doing? We really like interacting with him. But I think you're suffering, not you specifically, but when you think like that, you're suffering in your own imagination there. Because when you really talk to it, if you're selling your agency, but more importantly, if you're solving a pain point for realtors, you have nothing to worry about. Because if you're solving their pain point, which is anything to do with insurance or anything to do with the flood insurance or anything to do with the process that they go through.
Helping them sell a home, right?
Yeah, helping them get to the thing. You can go to every single one of them. But you're absolutely right. If you are marketing to realtors and you feel like you're selling them, it's very difficult to scale. But what Matt just went through is really like looking at fishermen, not for fish. When you're looking at realtors as fish, you're individually going after. That's a fucking shitty rod. Sorry, but when you're going after, you can tell I've never fish. But when you're going after like fishermen, you go to the closing attorney. Give me your 5 best realtors. You go to the mortgage lender. Give me your 5 best realtors. I'm going to improve their process with these 5 points. Here's how I'm going to do it. They will give you those names, and then you can go to all 5 and you're like, Jimmy Smith, mortgage lender, said I got to meet you because I got to help your process. I'd love to hear more about what you do. You're clearly amazing. Let's talk. And then you just listen.
I think the other thing too, guys, is, and Sean, I think the other thing too is the expectation that you're setting from the get-go. And a lot of people, I think, regardless of the industry, set expectations of 1-to-1. You're going to refer me, and I'm going to refer you.
Totally.
And I don't know about you, but we only come across 1 to 3 opportunities to refer someone who's buying a new property a year. We work with thousands and thousands of new home buyers. So, and that's one thing that a lot of realtors will ask in a meeting. They'll say like, hey, if you know people who are buying your listing, and let them know that I can help them. And our response is always, hey, you're always going to be on our mind. If they're in your zone, if they're in your area, and you're a supporter of us, of course you're going to be on our mind. But if we came up with a lot of those opportunities, we'd be realtors.
Right.
Right? I mean, we're insurance agents. And so the ability for us to support and benefit you, your client, remove obstacles, and then figure out strategies where we can invest in you and your business on a scalable model where we can do it for everyone that supports us. That's the strategy. That's the commitment. That's the promise we make to our partners.
So how do you, maybe on the flip side of that question, how do you rid yourself of bad referrals, right? How do you weed out, like, this is a person who's clearly just in it for me, or clearly just wants a lead from me, or like, what is during that interview when you're asking those questions, how do you know I want out of this guy, or I want out of this woman, she's not for us?
I really haven't come across that too often. I think it's a great question, but I think during the meeting, if that ever happened, I just probably wouldn't try to ask for the business. I think over a coffee or over a beer, you're going to learn a lot about somebody, and you might just not really want to move forward with that. But
it's also the source too. Like if the source is someone who's helping clients buy real estate, that's our bullseye.
Yeah.
So like, if someone's buying real estate, like, we're going to be the solution, whether we love hanging out with Joe Smith or we don't.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like if it's a dealership and they're referring 22-year-olds buying their first car, WRX turbos, and they're going to be, getting in accidents, not paying their bills, barely able, then that's a referral partner who we wouldn't want to work with.
We got some WRX turbo listeners.
Okay. For any of you that are 22 buying your first WRX, I'm sorry. But yeah, I think it's more about the source, and that comes back to the bullseye and not getting distracted by the shiny opportunities that are outside of your niche. And that's like one of our, we were referred 3 weeks ago, this huge commercial case that probably would have paid us enough commission to hire a full-time employee just for that one case. It was so hard to punt that and refer it out. At the same time, it wasn't, because it wasn't in our bullseye. And if we want to go from 130, 140 referrals a week of people buying new homes to 250 to 400 to 700, we can't possibly take on that client.
No, and you bring up a really excellent point. And, I think it's something that as insurance agents, we struggle with so much, because you bring up that shiny object syndrome. I think what I'm hearing from you guys and what you guys do so well is exactly the kind of customer that you want. Exactly the type. What the house looks like that the realtor is going to sell and who's going to buy that home. And you've decided that I'm going to devote 100% of my effort and energy here because this is where I'm good at. And I'm going to the stuff that I know we probably can do, probably will pay us money, but it's not for the long term going to benefit us on a success, where we want to be, on a success scale. We have to get rid of that stuff. So, is that what you're doing? Are you just flat out turning these situations down? Or are you just saying, you know what, I'm not a good fit for you. We're not a good fit for you. You should call so-and-so.
Yeah, we have some partners that we refer those clients to. If they're clients that fall outside of,
talk about how hard it is to leave that kind of money on the table. Because I think that's where a lot of insurance agents really, really struggle, regardless of whatever the niche is.
It probably was like 2 or 3 years ago. Now I don't even blink an eye at it, because it's the right thing to do. You look at our team, and we have a team of 32 people, and those people all focus and are super strong in the same unbelievable niche. Everybody is rowing in the exact same direction. If we brought on this pseudo department just to handle like a large case, it just wouldn't fit. It wouldn't be what we do well. It wouldn't fit the structure. We wouldn't know how to manage that person. That person wouldn't flow. And so it's really easy to punt. Actually, it's much easier than you think. But we also know we're not the best at it. Like, that's the other thing, is like, when Matt and I, we focus so much on our strengths, right? We try to make our strengths unbelievably strong, and our weaknesses we don't try to make average. And I think so many people out there, they try to make their weaknesses just good enough and just good enough and just good enough and just good enough. And then they're relatively average at everything, and then they die. Like, well, we are just super, super focused on our strengths, and our weaknesses, we're just going to, somebody else is really good at that.
But you have no weaknesses.
That's cute, guys. But
hey,
really quick,
Adam,
yeah.
one other thing, I think the thing that Nick touched on is really important to kind of come back to just a quick second. Yes, it takes, I think it's a focus of it's twofold focus. There's the focus of the client that we want and have identifying who that is. Actually, I think, Nick, you've talked about this before, like having a clear picture of who that ideal client is and knowing it and then punting everything else and going right after it. The second piece is having a tremendous focus internally of who's accountable for what, because our ability to amplify and grow and scale and move is only as good as the internal workings of the company. And so I had a call earlier today, one with yesterday. We have a couple coaching calls every single day where too many agents are wearing too many hats. If you're handling claims and you're handling some service transactions and you're handling sales, and you also have to try to create relationships and drive in business, and you're dealing with renewals, or any combination of two of those things, it's too much. The reason why our social media strategy has blasted through the roof is because Zach punted so many of the other responsibilities he has. As one of the owners of the company, literally stopped doing a ton of other things, delegated that out, and focused all of his efforts on that strategy, business development, marketing, and PR/social media. And that's why it's like moved so quick. If he spent 10% of his time every day on social media, we'd be just average, limping in, 1 foot, 1 toe in. Because he spent all of his time doing it, we decided to start a vlog, a professional vlog, and do a 52-week series, like a really professional one, which so it's like, if you're going to go up to the plate, swing for the fences, a kind of a mentality, you know? And I think internally, our investment, and this is something that everyone out there probably resonates with, the more structure and process-oriented your company is, the more control you have on your data, the more control you have on your people, how to handle, make sure that their voices are heard, the more structured your processes are, written in checklist format. If you have accountability charts, core values, and you hire and fire and discipline off of them, all those things are so vital, because we can know the ideal client and go crush it with creating referral opportunities. They come in the door, and if our sales team and our service team is doing a mix of both, and they're not focused completely on what they're doing, there's a ceiling you're going to hit with growth, no matter how good you are at creating leads. And we hit that ceiling, and we failed breaking through that ceiling 2 or 3 times. In 2012 and 2014, we tried to remove ourselves from sales, and we failed miserably, and revenue tanked. It's because our team, we didn't have a process set up, we didn't have a structure set up, we didn't have training set up, and we didn't know who to bring onto the team in that seat. It wasn't until we hired a consultant, brought him in, understood that we wanted to adopt a business model that offered a tremendous infrastructure and support system, so we knew exactly how to manage the chaos, that we were able to break through that ceiling.
So let's talk about that, the ways that so it sounds to me like you've really went all in on the relationships, and that's really what we've talked about tonight. And when you're going in all in on those relationships, obviously you're providing values. One of the things you talked about, answering questions in these interviews, or at least asking questions and then getting the values they want. And this comes to a little bit from the question from Tucson Insurance on the chat is, so what are those values? So when you listed like 7 different values or 7 different value adds, are you doing all of that? And is that one of your processes? Do you have a person who's in charge of, you need to log and make sure that we're providing these values back to our referral partners, or is that falling on you as part of the biz dev?
Yeah. And so again, that's such an individual agency kind of question, depending on how individual agencies operate, but we'll give you a tool on how to do that. And we talk about this on almost every single coaching call, 4 or 5 times a day. Matt and I individually do talk about it. It's called the Delegate and Elevate tool. Very, very, very simple. And you take a look on one sheet of paper on every single activity you do. Okay, everything from buying the toner, if that's what you do, to writing auto insurance, to doing podcasts, whatever you do every single day. And then on the right, on a totally different piece of paper, you put it in 4 quadrants. Love it. I'm the best in the world at it. like it, and I'm pretty good at it. Don't like it, I'm okay at it. Hate it, and I'm really bad at it. The bottom half, you either delegate or you make a job for it. The top half is the only thing you do. So like it and love it is the only thing you do. You delegate and elevate the rest of it. So to answer that question right back, if you really like implementing these strategies and you really like doing those value adds and seeing the faces on the things that you actually do, keep that. But where Matt and I really excelled is we excel at creating opportunities and jobs and delegating and elevating. So we have a couple people on our team that really help us monitor that situation. Matt and I share an executive admin, and she's really in charge of gifting. She's in charge of taking a look at leads weekly and monthly and really helping us systematically organize it. She's in charge of setting up weekly phone calls for Matt and I for every single person who referred to our agency. And we place a personal phone call with every single person who has done it. So yeah, we're not personally selling the auto insurance because that's not our unique ability. But one of our unique abilities is getting on the phone and really telling that person how much appreciation and gratitude we have for that referral, because we're truly genuine in how we feel about that. So we should never punt that. If we gave that up, that'd be a colossal fail, right? Because that's in our top quadrants.
Yeah.
But that might not be in your top quadrant, so you shouldn't do that. You should have a gratitude person who writes handwritten notes all day.
Yeah, and Adam, I think too what I heard you ask for is sort of like, with the business development process, how detailed and how structured is that? Just like our sales and service process written out in checklist format, it's the same thing with business development. So we have a specific strategy to get the appointment. We then have a specific strategy during the appointment written down. We don't read off of it, but it's written down so we know exactly the proven process that's going to get the best traction.
Gina and Torah.
Yeah, the Torah. Right. Nora is Torah. And then there is a written process and a specific expectation of what we're going to do post-meeting, the deliverables that we're going to deliver to that individual. There is a specific process for when that individual has not referred since that meeting for more than 7 days. There's a specific process for the first referral that they send, how we handle and offer a blue napkin experience for that first referral. The requests that we make to that referral to then call their the referral source and tell them what the experience was like. Our personal call to that partner, appreciating them. There is a personal gift plan and a process for individuals who referred a second, a third, a fifth, and get on a frequency level that's much higher. There's a specific process for them that shifts that referral partner from a C referral partner to a B to an A. We have 15 A level partners that refer 2 or more a week. There's a strategy in person once a month for them. Typically not an expensive strategy, but a very personal in person face-to-face.
Let's touch on that briefly. So like Nick, one of the things that when we first were talking in the background of like preparing for this phone call, you have a picture behind you, right? And right away, Matt and I looked at it and we were like, hey, tell us about that picture. We just do this instinctively, but there's a method to the madness. When we're in front of the referral partner, Matt and I are asking those kind of questions because now we know you're a massive Notre Dame fan.
Yeah, and I mean, if you guys want to send me like a signed helmet or anything, I totally won't turn it down either. So
yeah, I mean, so
whatever you guys want to do. Cool.
They don't make helmets that big.
No, they don't. They can't fit the chin, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, but we pay attention to that stuff. And when and if we do gift or do something like that, maybe it be as simple as going to the Notre Dame co-op store, getting a long sleeve tee from Notre Dame, and just having it arrive on your doorstep, and that's it. Not actually for you, just for the record, but maybe to one of your like Collabcast followers, who just like idolizes you. That'd be a good way to get on the show, maybe.
Yeah, but the key, joking aside, Nick, the key is obviously having a written process, because you can't follow and be consistent and repeatable with something that's proven if it's not written and it's followed by others. Like that's the key. It's like it's so boring and tedious, and neither one of us are really good at it. But we know that if it's not written in our company process and business development, and it's not going to be followed, it's not going to be followed every single time. We aren't going to be able to track the data we want. We're not going to be able to come through. We're not going to make those Friday calls thanking every single partner that referred that past week. There's different strategies for the C level, the B level, and the A level referral partners.
So take us through that a little bit, because I think there are going to be people listening here, and they might define an A, B, and a C a little bit differently. But tell me a little bit about those strategies for, what do you do specifically for an A that maybe somebody can do on the same kind of scale, or maybe, pare it down a little bit. And then tell me a little bit, how do you handle your different levels of referral partners?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really rank them anymore, like A, B, C per se. But what Matt's saying about that is like really kind of understanding who's moving your agency, who's moving the needle, who do we have to get up and who do we have to get down is more about the A, B, and C. But
it's more of a feeling than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, you track the metrics of it, but you're more going off of a feel than just, this person hit this criteria for 2 referrals, so they stay on the A side, or they go on the B side.
Take a look at it from the other level. Like, we don't have VIP clients. We don't believe in that. Like, that's just not how we run, right? Repeatable process, like Matt detailed really well there. That's way more important than a VIP process.
I agree.
But like, what we do take a look at, what if Matt meets just a rock star realtor that sells $5-10 million properties per year, and they get one of those people to insure with GNN? So they get 20% of their business to insure with GNN. Why is that person less important than somebody who gets 50 leads over but only 10 close?
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's the metrics more matter into what you're doing, but we're really trying to figure out agreements, commitments, and is the referral partner living up to what they said they would on our end, and are we living up to what we said we were going to do on their end? Because whatever we promise we deliver, we need to over-deliver, whether it's speed, convenience, networking with them, introducing relationships to them, whatever strategies we deliver, we have to exceed that. And then the agreements we get from them, at the end of the meeting, we literally read them back, guys. When we sit down in a meeting, we figure out, like Matt said, there's a proven process. We figure out what we're going to do. All right, Joe Smith, so you can put this in your process, and you're going to chat with 30 clients in the next 2 months. So we can at least expect a swing at the bat at like 20 of those, right? Cool. Agreed. Awesome. All right, moving on through the whole meeting. But you should have sincere confidence that you can do that at the end of every meeting. And if you haven't, you need a second meeting. Because you don't necessarily have to get that formal with the very first meeting, but you should get a feeling like, are we just having a coffee here? Are we having a beer? Or are we really making agreements to move our needle in each of our businesses?
So talk about the commitments that you guys
do. Is I deal this with producers that we hire. It's always the first thing we and I think a lot of people who hire producers run into a lot of these same challenges, or even themselves if they're owner operators, that they want to network with loan officers. They want to network with people in the real estate community because they know that's going to be a great source of referrals for them. How do you guys handle this objection? Because I have ways that I teach my staff to do it. I have my own ways, but I'm kind of curious to hear from you guys who deal with a lot of real estate partners. You walk into somebody's office and they tell you, I already deal with so-and-so down the street and I have been for 10 plus years. Right? You get those kind of objections, those right? And it's a matter of presenting the value that you have. But take me through that kind of objection and those obstacles, and how you kind of get past those with new folks that you're trying to connect with.
Yeah. So that objection, frankly, is our favorite.
That's one.
We both probably smile a little bit because that really is our favorite. The worst case is if someone says, I just don't really see the value in referring insurance. I never have. And I've found a lot of success in my career, and I've never really introduced you guys or anyone in insurance. Like, tell me more about why I should. Changing a behavior pattern, especially in someone who's successful, is very, very difficult. Someone said, hey, I've been referring this guy down the street for 10 years. I have an awesome relationship. Well, frankly, if we were introduced to them, we wouldn't be cold calling them, and we wouldn't be walking. We would be introduced to them by a very strong referral partner of theirs. And so we're going to have a little bit more trust. It's probably not going to be the way it's presented. But if it was, we'd be like, fantastic. We rarely find people who see tons of value in referring insurance. Love to hear more about what's working. Can you give me some feedback? Like, how many do you refer? What do they do for you? Like, how many carriers do they write for? Like, tell us about that experience and get them talking. And then they really talk about it. Then the rest of the meeting is really easy because then we're just asking them a ton more questions about them, their success, and frankly, they're just going to end up asking, well, how can I help you? And, how can we move forward?
Hit it on the head. Like, and what we really look for in that entire thing is, I'm telling you, Nick, almost 9 times out of 10, that relationship offers no value to them. And maybe they've given them some refis, or maybe it's their brother, or maybe they personally insure with them, or blah, blah, blah. But there's never, Matt and I haven't really been in many meetings where it's been like, oh no, I can't get around that. And so you really kind of break it down. The other insurance agency owner really hasn't done anything for them of value. They might just be handling the leads that they were given. They might be pretty speedy. They might be convenient. You have to have a differentiating factor. But more importantly than not, you have to believe so much in your team that you won't take that answer and be kind of done with it. But the most important thing on that said is that we don't walk indoors uninvited, because that's not a successful strategy in networking. It just, Matt and I, we don't have phones that ring in our office, and you can't get to us through the front door. So why would we expect a successful realtor or a mortgage lender to be any different?
Right.
So we have to reinvent the wheel, and we have to get warm introductions. But the biggest thing that Matt hit on earlier, just to hit on it again, guys, we're getting introductions to the lender from the realtor. The lender's going to take that meeting. That's his breadbasket. He has to, or else he's screwed, or she has to, etc. Vice versa. Yeah. Like that's how it works, guys. So we try to figure out, and we do the same thing with financial advisors. We do the same thing with estate planners and CPAs. We just figure out the hand that feeds them, get that person to feed you.
So really quickly, I want to get an idea of those commitments that you're making, and those, when you say you come to agreements and commitments, what commitments are you offering up to these on the back end? Because it doesn't sound like you're giving them a lot of leads on home buyers. So what are you doing to provide them that value specifically in those meetings that differentiates yourself?
Yeah, smoke and mirrors is kind of no. Wait, don't call us out on is this thing on? But we really, again, it's I hate to say it depends on the individual, but it really depends on how that meeting kind of goes. You really, there's no agreements or commitments until you find pain points and solving them. Because any agreement or commitment that doesn't solve a pain point it's just, you are waiting for the next person to come take that relationship from you. Because you really have offered something. It's called dead aid. There's that TED talk about dead aid. It's a really great one if you haven't watched it. But it's like 15-minute TED talk. It's one of the best TED talks Matt and I ever watched. And it really is about offering value to someone who literally takes a look at it and said, "That's great, you offer that, but I'm not hungry." And then you're screwed. So we spend so much in the meeting listening in the beginning, and then we try to solve that. And so Matt will go a little deeper in maybe a specific agreement or commitment. Or
yeah, I mean, let's say the loan officer we're meeting with indicates that, I really just need my clients. Like I'm a top producer. Frankly, those are the ones we're going to go after anyways, because they're the ones that have a ton of volume. So one, it's a really good feeder for us. But two, they care more about process and support and removal of obstacles and pain points than the individual who doesn't do much business. Those are the people that are really looking for send me clients. And those are the ones that we kind of stay away from to the most part. We go for the heavy hitters. They're going to have the best ROI, and they're going to care about what we actually have built a lot more. But let's say the loan officer is saying, "Hey, I really just need you to take care of my clients and take care of them, do a good job." But if you run across some real estate agents that aren't happy with their current loan officer, I love the introduction. We are able to refer and introduce real estate agents to loan officers at a far higher clip than ever introducing clients to them or prospective buyers. And frankly, that's so much more valuable. Case in point, this gentleman, Brian, who is a loan officer in Massachusetts, does a ton of about $100 million in loans, pretty good producer. We introduced a realtor to him 3 years ago, a real estate team, two women, and they have used him on every single deal since. He's received about 20 referrals from them for the last 3 years. That alone has made him probably 70 grand. It's way more than we could ever produce. So that might be something that really is important, whether they say it or not, but really getting that out of them. Granted, there's not 1,000 realtors out there we're going to introduce, but if we're going to networking events, if we're getting involved, we're both members of our Greater Boston Association of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors, the Massachusetts Association of Realtors. And it's not because real estate agents are a great feeder for us. It's because they're a great feeder for loan officers. And so our ability to introduce them to loan officers really takes off with the loan officers. They're going to feel very indebted to us and accountable to us. If the loan officer says, hey, like, I really need help with coming up with a better process or a strategy session on marketing myself. I really need help with social media. I need to understand Facebook target marketing. I need to understand how you guys do videos the way you do. I'd love to implement it on my own. Well, a session sitting down with them, coaching them on how to leverage those tools is immense value, right? They're going to look at that and be like, wow, these are two insurance agents not talking about insurance, helping me improve my business by helping me expose my brand. So there's endless ways to kind of add value as long as you take a little bit more time to think about a creative, innovative strategy to really try to offer that to them.
That's awesome.
Does that answer your question?
From the chat, we have a question. So we're talking about building value and setting yourself up to deliver that kind of value to your partners. Matthew Wood, who's actually he's on the East Coast. I want to say Matt's in New York. He wants to know what is unique about your sales conversation or your conversion process once that lead that comes in from the referral comes into your office. How are you differentiating yourself to the lead compared to what other agencies are doing or what you're seeing other agencies do?
Yeah, so that goes into so it's a shift from our business development process to our sales process. That when that lead comes into the agency, it immediately shifts from business development to sales. And our first point on our sales process is our coordinator. And our coordinator, not to go too granular, but our coordinator essentially responds on behalf of the sales agent who's going to be assigned to immediately. So this introduction from a loan officer is coming through, and within a minute, boom, they're getting a custom, thank you so much, Jim Smith Mortgage Broker. Hey, so great to meet you, Richard and Mary. Congratulations on your home. Fantastic. We can't wait to help you. Right? The rest of it's cut and paste, but it's worked over years of improving that content to make sure it's effective. This is an introduction to your salesperson who's going to be taking care of you. Select the time that is best for you to talk to them. We can't wait to help you. If you want to get in touch with us, you can call or email here, blah, blah, blah. And it's immediate. So it's like it's happening right away. The speed is right there. It's super convenient. They're setting up a time to call. The sales agent knows it's been assigned to them. It funnels into their CRM, and then they're running with it.
Yeah, and to hit one more point on that, one of the things that we do very different than a lot of agencies, well, maybe not different than a lot, but than most, I feel like, is our inside sales team only does inside sales. That's it. We don't have CSRs selling. They service the policy. They're called account managers here, not CSRs. They manage the account. So we have an inside sales team that their only job and function is to really appreciation, gratitude, handle the lead, follow the process, make sure it's repeatable, and make sure they're really listening and make sure they're really adding value to that individual client. Because the same strategy, Nick, if I am in your office and I'm looking at that Lou Holtz thing and I'm talking, that's not a thing, it's actually a picture. If I'm looking at the Lou Holtz picture and I'm focusing on that, we need our inside sales team to really focus on the same thing with the client. They need to listen. That strategy has to be repeatable the whole way. We're not necessarily sending the client an individualized Lou Holtz autographed picture, but if ever anything goes wrong with the client, maybe we want to do something that's next level as opposed to a handwritten note saying we're sorry.
Right.
Maybe it's good to have a little tiny note in there saying that they have a Wheaton Terrier, and maybe there's something we can do with that.
And our sales team too, they know that the experience they deliver to the client, to the customer, is a reflection and an extension of the promises we're making to our clients, i.e. our referral partners. Mm. So it's a very, very close connection and communication daily between business development and sales. And our sales manager reinforces it every single day. She really makes them understand. It could be a renter's insurance referral that ends up being a headache, costs $140 a year, produces $20 in revenue, loses money on the back end because of our lack of profitability. But if it comes from the same loan officer who refers us 6 a week and produces tens of thousands of dollars of revenue for us a year, that renter better get the same level of experience. So every single client's handled the same way, but on the very first referral from a new referral partner, the sales agent who it's assigned to is notified that that is the first referral from this. So let's kick ass and knock it out of the park. Does that answer the question that Matt asked?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. At least it answers it for me. I'll let Matt determine whether or not it answered it for him.
Matt, say yes.
I think it was like a 15-second delay, so he might be a little bit behind.
Okay.
So a lot of the stuff you're talking about providing that repeatable service is somewhat sounds like it's automated. So, and a lot of times that for insurance agents like myself, it can be a little intimidating to go into that space. What would you recommend for an agent who's trying to create that process, automate it in some sense? What's a safe starting point, or what was your first starting point or venture into that kind of third-party vendor or tech that could allow you to do it a little bit better or a little bit more seamless?
I can let Zach jump on it, but I think before establishing the process, identifying the best structure and accountability chart is essential. Because if you dive too much into process and then realize that the structure is flawed, then it doesn't really matter. You're screwed. People are wearing too many hats, and as you get to a certain point, number of clients, number of onboarding, number of amount of premium, whatever you're calculated, it's going to get overwhelming, and it's not going to be able to be repeated over time. So I think what Zach touched on earlier is like, we have been really focused. We made a ton of mistakes over the last 7.5 years, but we really focused on identifying, okay, this is the business development team. This is what they're accountable for. This is the sales team. This is what they're accountable for. And this is the service team. And that's what they're accountable for, retention and management of the account afterwards. And so obviously the process needs to be repeatable, but it can't be if the structure is flawed.
Yeah, and so Adam, to answer that question just like 1 second about, there's no automation of the reply. It's an actual person who is sending it, just to be totally clear. We don't have any automated systems. We're one of our flaws, if we have one to talk about, it's like maybe CRMs, maybe technology, maybe like, making everything super duper easy. And maybe we'll take a look at that down the road. But the person, who's in charge of that has a template that they use and that they customize per thing. But the background thing is like, guys, you got to break a couple eggs to make an omelet. You can't just look at the egg for a long time. So if you really want to grow, you either have to figure out like what is automatable, or you have to add staff and you have to take a chance. But what we recommend is make sure that the strategy you're all in on, and you'll deal with some losses. So if we had this conversation a year and a half ago, we were in a lot of debt. But that wasn't because we were having a bad sales year. That was because in 2013 and 14, we were making decisions for 2017 and 18, and we knew we were going to have to walk across some coals to get there. And we did. And it sucked. 2016 was not a fun year revenue-wise, but we crushed some goals. And now 2017, people are hearing about us and they're like, wow, this is a really great story, whatever. 2016, nobody reached out to us to talk. It's because we were on the way to doing what we're doing, and we were trying to figure out what was going on. And we got there, but we knew it was going to be a little bit of a process. So we implore people listening to this to like, not just like take a chance, but really analyze what's the end goal. Well, if the end goal is to make the process the best possible for the client, what is the client telling you is not working in your current agency now? Why are some people not writing with your insurance agency? Why are they not even replying to the initial outreach? Is it speed? I don't know. Is it the way you're replying? Should you be texting instead of emailing? Should you be calling instead of doing any of the above? That's for you guys to figure out.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think instead of automation as the tool that we really have, and we use a level of automation for communication with clients, pre-renewal, post-onboarding a new client, post-claim, everyone gets a video of us identifying that moment for them in the life cycle. Everyone gets a custom email, templated, but a custom email that comes out to them. There is automation in 3 stages of the client life cycle that are most important. But more than that, it's the tools that we can leverage, the tech tools that we can leverage, and the tools that are available to provide our team a more efficient process and provide the client a more robust experience. And so there might be calendar sharing tools, texting tools, voicemail tools that you can leave a ton of voicemails, a lot of different people at the same time. All the social media ones, the video campaigns that we run. to new clients, existing referral partners. A lot of different tools that we leverage.
Perfect. I have a question here. It's actually someone pinged me on my phone. This is Grant Bobma in Phoenix, Arizona. He asked this question. He wants to know. This is kind of just more of an insight question. But what is your company mission, and what do you do to get people on your team to rally around that common goal? And what is that common goal, and how do you get everybody on the same page to accomplish that goal?
Yeah, we're just fighting for our mom's approval. That's really our mission.
Aren't we all? I'm fighting for your mom's approval too.
Just kidding. Sorry, kind of most of the time. So we our mission, we don't call it mission. It's our core target. So we adopted Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's EOS. For those of you that don't know, it's basically a business system that you hire a facilitator or implementer to come in and help educate you on all the different tools. There's 24 tools that if you master all of them and know exactly when to use them and set up infrastructure, the business just runs a lot smoother. There's a book called Traction. We recommend Traction to everybody, whether you're a one-person shop that just started last week or you've been in business for 4 generations. Traction will really resonate with anyone that has that mindset, that growth mindset, and understands the importance or wants to know more about the importance of structure. That being said, in our structure of EOS, there's no mission or vision. It's more of a core target and core focus. So you can call it mission, but it's to create raving fans. We want to create raving fans. Our clients, our referral partners, our employees, we want to create raving fans because raving fans will tell everyone in the world about the experience they have. That's the compass that everyone in the agency knows to use when they are confronted with decisions on a daily basis. What was the other part of it?
How do you rally people around that on your team? How do you get everybody kind of on that same page?
Yeah, if I can still hold the mic for a second, because I like holding the other piece of that is the core values. And I think that we talk about it all the time. Companies have core values, but some of them don't. Some companies don't have core values. They just have a mission vision. Some companies have core values just because they read it in a book and they know they're supposed to. And there's like 10 core values. Maybe people remember 1 or 2 of them. We are so adamantly focused on our core values. We spent a ton of time in a specific process on identifying what they would be. We did it ourselves at first and realized that we were incorrect. And then we did it again with a specific process and we realized what they were. The core values drive so many decisions in the agency, but most importantly, it determines who we add to the bus, right? Identifying the right people for G&N and our company is vitally important because all of you know, if there's a cancer on your team, I don't care how many great other people you have, that will infiltrate and destroy culture. And culture we hold so important. We care about culture more than almost anything else. We know that our clients, our referral partners are going to have only an exceptional experience on a consistent level, no matter how fast we grow, if our culture is super strong. So our core values, which are we do whatever it takes, we find ways to help, and we have fun together. It's just 3, but they're really our main focus. We hire people based on those core values. We discipline, we promote, we bonus, and we fire. And those core values they're everywhere. We talk about them every week. They're on the wall. We do videos every single week highlighting and spotlighting one individual team member at G&N and focus on what makes them special, the reflection of the core values, and what they do at the agency. Everyone in our entire network, every referral partner, every client gets emailed that video. It's not a focus of insurance. It's not what we can do. It's not asking for business. It's just highlighting an employee. It's great because it helps with the brand, but it makes us feel good. And it makes the employee feel super valued, right? If they see publicly in this big social media landscape that we're doing videos highlighting them, what makes them special, and they know it's true, I mean, how else can you make people feel good? And that's a really strong part of our culture. So, yeah, to end it, 3 core values and creating raving fans are sort of our focus.
So in light of kind of what you've talked about today, I want to hear about, I'm assuming that some of the things behind you in that list are those core values or at least parts to it. What is Champagne Friday? You do Champagne Friday.
So Champagne Friday. So one of our core values is we have fun. And we were doing Champagne Fridays before our core value was we have fun. So to touch on core values really fast, again, core values are not what the owner wants core values to be. They're not. They're what your team currently has. Okay, and or you maybe have the wrong team, and maybe you have to redo that. But your team brings out your core values. Core values don't start right at the top and come down. They really start at the all together, right? So when you have a core value like we have fun, well, we have Champagne Fridays. So typically at 2:30 on a Friday, we pop a couple bottles of champagne for whoever wants, put on some music, and we play a team game together. We get a little deep with each other and learn about what's going on. It could be a trust game. It could be a total just embarrassing kind of fun game. It could be voting for the best Halloween costume. It could be whatever it's on our on the mind. But our agency manager runs it, and so she runs the entire meeting, and she focuses on whatever is on her mind to kind of build a team fun activity. Typically, the laughter is so loud that if you were on the phone in here, it's a bad time. So most people know that you don't have to be involved at a 2:30 Champagne Friday, but most people just are just because it's fun. This is a good group activity.
Do you involve your referral partners?
Typically, we don't invite anyone else in. It's very much just a G&N thing. That being said, many times we've delivered bottles of champagne to our partners on Friday and explained to them what we do at G&N. They love it. They've adopted it, and they start it. So it's been something we've done with a lot of our referral partners, but it's more just like having fun with them too, because that core value of having fun together doesn't stop with the team. We had a couple realtors over the years and lenders send us a really nice bottle of champagne that to be delivered at noon on a Friday. And it's so funny because the team gets so excited because the champagne we buy is so dirt cheap because we buy so much of it. So they get this really nice. That's because Zach buys it.
Yeah, I know, right?
If I bought it, I'd break the bank.
Yeah.
He buys it and we drink wine.
It's all for everybody.
Yeah, we buy it by the case.
Hey, we got two questions here in the chat, two really good questions. One is from David Call, who's from, I believe, from San Antonio, Texas. These are two tactics questions, right? But he wants to know, he's relating to his experience. He goes, I've got a good mortgage referral partner that asks for a quote from me, but he also asks two other insurance agents. How do you handle that when the lender says that they don't want to steer a client? How are you getting around kind of those obstacles when you're kind of handling that delicate situation of not wanting the realtor or the loan officer to steer the client, but you're wanting to be in the conversation?
That's another great objection. That's another one that Matt and I are both nodding. That's really good. And what was that guy's name again?
David Call. Yeah.
So, and that's a great problem, David, in specific. And Matt and I love those kind of ones. So going back to what Matt said really well earlier, that person's already referring. So that's a good thing, right? So we got to look at the gratitude piece. That someone's referring, but there's three things involved. So David needs to really interview that referral partner and find out what the other two are doing really well. Why are they included in that list? Get some open and honest conversations. I have to include these because it's my company policy. Okay, no problem. That's a company policy. That's something you can't get around. But find out, are you a real differentiating factor? And if it's not a company policy, you have to ask the difficult question. What do I need to do to be the only person that you refer? And you have to get that question out. Because if it's a trusted referral partner, maybe like Matt said, that guy just wants introductions to realtors that can help him get leads. Maybe that person wants you to respond faster. Who knows? Who cares what the answer is? But you have to ask the question.
Yeah, in what world would I be the only insurance agent on the list? And if it really is, if his objection is like, hey, it's a legal thing, legal department wants me to not just, send out three names and I have to do this. Well, okay, great. Just put my name at the top.
Yeah.
But if it's not a legal thing and it's actually just something that he is using as an excuse, you need to know that and figure out, well, what do I need to do? I am not delivering the value necessary to be the only one yet.
It's the hardest question to ask. Why am I not number one? But it's the most important question to ask.
Yeah, and it's the question that they'll be honest with you more than likely, and it'll be the greatest coaching segment of your day because it'll help you improve on what you need to improve on.
100%.
And almost all of us entrepreneurs just fix it. Fix the problem. It's a great problem to have. Just go back to your agency and see what you can do better.
That's a great question.
Matthew Wood again chimes in. He wants to know, again, another tactics question. Is your inside sales team salary only, and or is there any other incentive structure for conversion, cross sales, anything like that that kind of maybe packages the account? Do you just pay them salary, or do you have any other kind of system in place for them?
It's food, shelter, and liquor. We have cots in the office, pizza every day. No. Maddie. So again, I don't think it's unique. It's just the decision we made. Because we knew our unique ability was to create opportunities via referrals that are warm, and those warm referrals were going to have a 50% or greater closing ratio. We had the luxury of developing and building an inside sales team on salary and incentivizing with bonuses that are nice bonuses if they hit certain benchmarks. So if our unique ability was not to get those referrals, we were really good sales guys, or we were good service or good process oriented or operations minded, but we had trouble bringing in the business, well, we would have strategized and built our sales organization around producers that are both biz dev and salespeople. And they would go create the opportunities. We give them splits, blah, 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 blah. We actually do have 2 individuals that are set up like that, where they go out, they create the referrals, they transition them into sales, and they move on. But most of our team, 9 of our agents, are just in-house sales, salaried. We get the leads. We control the volume of leads. We care about their closing ratio and policies per client.
So I keep hearing over and over again is you guys talking about what you do well. We focus on what we do great. How are you guys, or what tactics do you use to keep yourself honest about that? Like things that you're honest with yourself about, like I'm good at this or I'm not so good at that. What do you use as your sounding boards? What are you using as your tactics to kind of keep yourself grounded?
I mean, they say motivation is like bathing. We recommend it daily. In all sincerity.
Is that Zig Ziglar?
Yeah, buddy.
Nice.
But you really need to tell yourself that you're great in certain aspects, and you need to really believe that, because referral partners will sniff it out. You won't get that rogue one person who sends a deal once or twice a month, or they won't care. But the real top level people will know if you're full of shit. And Matt and I know what we're really, really, really strong in, and we tell ourselves we're really strong in that, and we audit that all the time. Going back to what we just said, we ask our referral partners, what are we doing well? What can we do doing better? We ask our team all the time, open and honest communication. We have level 10 meetings, which is an book traction that Matt recommended that everybody should buy and that we should get a cut on.
Yeah, what the hell? But don't buy. Yeah, let us work out a deal first.
Yeah. But that book is really specific with one part of it. It's called a level 10 meeting. No need to get too granular, but in essence, every single member of our entire team is in a weekly meeting where there are 6 topics, but one of them that they spend the most time on is called issues. And they go through outstanding issues in their department that they want to solve in that meeting. So they all feel that their voice is heard, and they all feel that they're working on big problems. Not like, I don't like how Sally called me talked to me on the phone the other day.
They create the solution.
Yeah, tough shit, deal with it. But they really go through big time issues. And so we solve from the ground up, and all we hear about is solutions. It's awesome. It's a great world to live in. And our company culture is fantastic. Matt heads that up. So people are really focusing on our core values from the top down. And then from the bottom up, every single person feels like they're working on solutions. So in our agency, all we hear all the time, it's not all roses, but the fires that are happening, we don't necessarily have to put out, because everybody has a fire extinguisher.
We also sound off. We used a couple of tools too. I mean, our leadership team, there's 5 of us on the leadership team: head of sales, head of service, integrator, i.e. agency manager, Zach, and myself. We've all done Kolbe profiles, Kolbe. It's one of many tests that you can take. It evaluates sort of how you function and what your strengths are, especially within a team. We've all done personality tests. We've done the delegate and elevate tool.
Mine was multi.
We've done mine was long. He was multi. We've done the delegate and elevate tool. There's a lot of different things that we do on a daily basis. We have open discussions about what we think each person is good at and what they need improvement on. And we use a people analyzer, which is broken into both core values to determine the right person for the organization, and then GWC for the seat. Is that if the person's a great fit for the organization because they kill it with the core values and they just feel right in the gut, are they in the right seat? Is the seat that they're in set up for success? Do they get it? Do they understand what it's really asked of them? Do they want it? Do they come to work hungry about that role and really loving and feeling valuable? And do they have the capacity to do it? GWC. And we use that tool. It's one of the many EOS tools to evaluate if we have the right person. And we've actually saved a lot of people who we felt that they were the right person. They killed it with the core values, and they were struggling and they weren't happy, and they were considering leaving, and they weren't doing a great job in their role. And before EOS and before using this tool, we would have lost them. We would have either fired them or they would have quit. Since we implemented that, we know how to use that tool. We would sit down with the individual, identify it's actually a seat issue. They don't either get it, want it, or have the capacity to do it, or all three. We'd move them within the organization, and that person thrived. To kind of answer your question, Adam, about different tools that we use to identify our strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. So one of the questions from the chat actually kind of fits really well into this, and it talks about, you seem to talk about, we mentioned the word firing a couple times at the end of your employee process. And how do you guys review terminations? Is it purely based on production, or are you following the procedures? And again, this question comes from Alexander DePazzo, and I apologize.
He's in Miami Beach.
He's from way down there.
Way to jump in, Nick. I love that.
Nick, that was great.
I want to get a Cuban with that dude on South Beach. That's like one of my goals in life.
We shouldn't call it firing. We should call it like helping the individual find a better fit. We actually don't. 50% of our evaluation is production, and that's really ties into the seat. The other 50% is the person, the core values, and the fit of the organization. So that's kind of how we evaluate it. Like, if they're not accomplishing their goals, whether it's on the sales team or service team, there's a reason for that.
We won't let anybody go if they fit our core values. And production doesn't matter. Like Matt detailed out for a long time about GWC, and it's a perfect description. And people should really listen to what he was saying there, because that's really, really important. If they get it and they want it and they have the capacity to do it, they're in the right seat. And if they're having a problem with them, it's a core value problem. That's it. If they don't fit the core values that Matt detailed out, they're in the wrong seat. You need to find a better seat for them. And that's what, like Matt said, the people that are interagency that really are the department heads really focus on that, and they really try to figure it out. So we've set the core values. The team set them with us. We all judge each other on our core values. And I feel like core values is almost like intent. It's like, do you have the intent to do the right thing? Okay, well, maybe your production's down. Who cares?
Yeah, do you work? It's like when you're a child. Like, Jimmy works well with others. Like Jimmy plays well with others. Like, it's kind of like, do you get along with the family here? The other piece is like, if let's say, call it a sales rep and they're just not producing. Well, it's one of two things. If they're the right person and like it's a right fit for the organization, it's one of two things. You're not giving them the tools to succeed or the training necessary to develop, or they don't have the capacity to do the role, and they can either move within the organization or find a different employer. But that's it. If they're not producing, they're not being productive, you're either not setting them up for success by giving the training and the tools, or they don't have the capacity or the desire to be in that role.
Gotcha.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I think that answer. Hopefully that answers Alex's question. He's the one who from South Beach. He's the one.
Yeah.
He's the one who had the question on the chat. So I think so. We'll wait 12, 15 seconds past the delay, and we'll see if he gives us the good old thumbs up.
Yeah.
I want to hit on something that we haven't talked about at all, and that is, the reason that I think that I first saw you guys was the Bobble On videos, right? You guys doing that, and you guys. I'm looking at it from a couple different angles. I look at it from a video marketing standpoint, which is something I'm really passionate about, and then just a general marketing standpoint. And so I look at it, I think, man, that looks like it costs a ton of money to do. But can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of the bobblehead videos and kind of how you're leveraging that now? Maybe people who are watching this, maybe they can't put the same production value, right? They just can't do that. but maybe they can think of some other way to incorporate that kind of into their workflow. Tell us how that started and kind of what you're seeing as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, 1 year into business, we hadn't taken any income, and our significant others got us bobbleheads of ourselves. And we were like, oh, this is pretty cool. We feel kind of down in the dumps. We haven't taken any income, but at least we have little figurines of ourselves. That kind of, we put it on our desk.
Like,
it's a win. You look at yourself all day. For the next 3 years, people would come into our offices, and one of two reactions. They would either be like, wow, you have a bobblehead of yourself, or like, that's so weird, you have a bobblehead of yourself. Either way, it garnered attention. And it was something that we kept on our desks, even though the calendars and the pens and all the other stuff were thrown away. So we decided like 3.5, 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago to go all in. And we started making bobbleheads of our partners. And so if you are a loan officer, realtor, attorney, financial advisor.
Yes.
Yes.
I got a bobblehead of my own. This is me playing the drums I've had for a while. My lips are a little pink, but I don't think I can turn this into a video or anything.
It looks like you're kind of like on the bathroom or something.
I don't know. It looks like I have lipstick on. To be honest with you, it's like I'm sitting holding a drumstick.
We gotta get you some sun there, Nick. Like, you gotta tan up.
Bobblehead.
You got Uncle Fester's complexion.
Oh God. Anyways, thanks, Nick. No. So just in a nutshell, we started making bobbleheads of our business partners. So people who referred us consistently, it was a thank you. It was really personal. They loved it. Their kids played with it. More so, they put it on Facebook, and everyone would ask, "Oh my God, you've made it! How do I become a bobblehead?" And it just kind of went on from there. We've made over 700 bobbleheads. If you want to get in the door somewhere, you send some top producer who won't take your calls a bobblehead of themselves with a really nice notes explaining what it means to become a bobblehead. And welcoming them into the bobblehead family, they will take your meeting. And if they're not, they're a dick, and they would have never referred you anyways. But so that was kind of like our bobblehead strategy, and it's kind of our brand and our shtick. It's kind of goes in line with having fun together.
It's just the way you get in the door, right?
It's a way to get in the door. It's also a way to stay in the door.
Yeah.
In the room.
And so it's like Bobble On, like to go back to the question about Bobble On, like, so that's like our brand, right? But you had a really good point. Like, that seems like a lot of money. Cool. Well, we were doing video way before we did this. We were doing it with an iPhone just like this, and we were going about it. And after like a year, we were like, all right, people actually care about this. And we're both huge Gary Vee fans. We're both like Tim Ferriss and all these other people who are like, out there on video and podcasts and that. And one day we were just chatting, we're like, why the hell not? And so we just said, you know what? It'd be one thing to have that iPhone, but this seems like it could be a little bit bigger. Let's take a peek at it. So we have a photographer, Rachel Rubin. She owns RLR Studio, which is now going to be called Parlor. It's right down the road in Framingham. And she actually created a role in her firm to do this. It was her first time doing it as well. And now she opened a whole videography section of her firm. So it was kind of fun. We both kind of grew with it together. We've signed on for a 52-week commitment. It's massive money. It's a lot more, but it gets us indoors that we would have never got before, like this one per se. And also on the top of that, it wouldn't be that surprising if a year from now, it's every day. And like, how cool would it be if every single day Matt and I are just showing the world about what we're doing and how we're doing it? And not saying you shouldn't share with G&N, not saying that you need to refer G&N business, but just saying like, this is entrepreneurship at its raw. This is what we do every single day. This is how we go about our business. This is how we conduct team meetings, and we're open and honest, and we're sitting here, and this is why we're great.
Yeah, to sort of relate that, guys, to people out there who might be interested in doing something somewhat like it, or you leveraging video, leveraging social. The way we look at it is, whatever you're doing, is it creating top of mind awareness? So this series could be an absolute flop. We're both glad it wasn't, and it's taking off. But we looked at it as, well, even if it's a flop from like a viewership or like a engagement level, or it doesn't become this national thing, well, at least all of our referral partners are going to see us talking and having fun and experiencing the journey. It allows us an opportunity to highlight the wins and successes of our partners. So it's a medium that's really effective. If nothing, they just see us every single week and know that this is the insurance this is the insurance solution I should refer my clients to. It's translated into people just walking up to us at networking events being like, hey, I watch you guys every week. I'm a real estate agent at blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to introduce myself. We have people now asking us to show up and appear on the weekly episodes, and we don't have enough episodes to do that. So I think whatever the strategy is, if it's video or social, there needs to be enough of an investment in it. That's the point I think we're trying to get across. Like, it doesn't need to be a full-on video production and like an all-in, day like videographer crew following you around every day, making a professional series. And that actually might not even want something you either want or think you're that great at.
You might not be good on video.
Yeah, anybody.
You might just do it on LinkedIn and just do a blog. If you're that good at writing,
you gotta find what your medium of strength is here. Like for you guys, it's video, right? But not everybody's comfortable on video, but they probably are really good writers, or they know how to take really good photos and put it on Instagram. Going back to, you mentioned Gary Vee. Gary Vee talks about, just document. You just document. Put that stuff out there. And a theme that we've hit on a lot in this episode is find out what your strengths are. Find out what your strengths are and run 100%, 1,000 miles per hour in that direction and just document. When I see the bubble on video, that's what I'm seeing. I'm just seeing document. You don't have to be the Kardashians, right? And have people follow you around, but you can.
His ass isn't big enough.
Yeah, right. Right. And
my entire body.
Do some squats
too, but the idea that, look, I don't have to have this full-on production, but I can just take my phone and I can talk for 30 seconds and I can try to make a human connection to somebody who's on the other end of that. I think that's really what it comes down to.
And Nick, just, a lot of people don't feel comfortable on camera or don't think they're great at camera. Maybe they're not great on camera, but that doesn't mean you can't video other professionals. You could go and create an entire series where you're just interviewing business owners in your neck of the woods and putting it out on Facebook and just branding them and supporting them. And after 6 months of doing that every week, I guarantee you there'll be a ton of people calling you to both want to be showing up on your videos. They want to refer you. Hey, can I work with you? Can you give me a quote? Like, that works. Or you focus on your partners that are referring you business and you go and you film them. Like, there's so many ways to leverage the tools without necessarily being the audience.
Right. And going in that example, if you're doing that for 6 months every week, I would put money on the fact that somewhere within week 1 and week 6 months that you're going to figure out how to be good on video, because you're going to be around it enough. You're going to be organically native in that environment. You're going to figure out how to turn the camera from here to here or wherever, and you're going to figure that out.
Yeah, you fail forward.
Right.
Well, yeah, people are always so worried about step 2. They just are. Yeah. It's so funny. So many of the things we're talking about right now, people are just obsessed with the fact, well, what if it works? Like, oh my God, what if it works? I have to hire people. What if it works? I have to automate. Like, what if it works? I have to promote people. What if it works where I'm out all the time? Good.
Right. It's a good problem to have.
Yep.
The opposite.
Good problem. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Zach, Matt, we don't want to take up any more of your time. We can't imagine how much value you guys have put out. We really want to thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you guys staying up super late. I know it's past your bedtime, Zach. We got to, Matt, make sure you rock him to sleep tonight. Get him an extra nuzzle or two. You guys can match beards, rub them together. Don't start a fire or anything. We just want to thank everyone. Thank everyone who came onto the chat. Helped to make this be a really cool night. And hey, thanks again, and we'll see you next month with Collabcast. For Nick Ayers, I'm Adam Serwinski. Thanks so much, guys.
Bubble on.
Bubble on. That's right.
Appreciate it.